Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. My friends, it is over. The worst of the energies for 2025, the end of the cusp yoga. And now we're not entirely out of the woods, but from this point on, things are going to get so much better. Yes! So thank you for joining me this week for our Astro Weather Report. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share on your socials to go into the draw to win a solar return report from me. I give one away every month. Or why not simply purchase one from the Guiding Star website? They are available there for $25. My written astrology reports are at the perfect price point. They're the best gift also. I was going to say Christmas gift, but birthday present for the friend who has everything. Give them a year ahead solar return report. They'll never have anything like it. All right, let's look at what's going on in the skies this week. I'll get my pointer. And away we go. On the 21st and 22nd of July, there's so much happening, but the main thing I want to focus on is this little energy over here in Virgo. Mars is conjuncting the South Node, and this is happening at 19 degrees of Virgo. It's also exactly opposite the North Node in Pisces. Now, when the South Node is with Mars, it indicates that Mars, the planet, is releasing a lot of its energies, letting go of a lot of its energies. It doesn't have the oomph and the power that it otherwise would because the South Node dissolves things away. So this indicates with Mars here a decrease in warring energies, antagonism, aggression, frustration. That's all good stuff. But it can also represent a loss of assertion, a loss of willpower, a loss of personal drive and energy. So be careful what you allow and don't allow, what you choose to fight for and choose not to fight for the next week or two as Mars is within this I was going to say dangerous proximity of the South Node. It's just a different energy of Mars when he's in proximity to the South Node. So just keep that in mind. So that's the general gist of Mars with the South Node, but there's so much more to this little energy than I've just described, and we're going to dive deeply in just a second. Now, in the negative this week, we still have some warring indicators, despite Mars being with the South Node. This is things like Uranus in Gemini, which I spoke about in my recent Uranus in Gemini video. Do check that one out. It's in the playlist if you're interested. We have planets also, Saturn and Neptune over here at life-changing Gandanta degrees. I'll talk about that in a moment. But the blockage, the restriction, the heaviness, the stuck in the mudness is now subsiding because Mars is going to move beyond the South Node. This is the direction Mars is moving in. He's going to leave the South Node behind because the South Node's going in this direction. Big changes. This spells an end to a combination of planetary energies that we've actually been subject to for the past few months, since April. And so it's such a relief to have this energy done and dusted and over with, my friends. We're going to talk about this in just a second. But in the positive this week, we've got Jupiter now visible as the morning star, glorious, glorious morning star if you get up early enough to see him. We've got Neptune and Saturn for a time as well, making a trine to the sun as the sun moves into Leo. Fantastic trine energy between these big players. That's a great thing to have going on. And as I've mentioned, we have the cusp yoga finishing. Many of us are now going to find that we encounter some sort of karmic connection with another person, or a karmic circumstance unfolds, or an event arrives that is fated in the coming week. So my question is, are you ready for the shifts that are going to take place in the week ahead, my friends? I hope so. Friends, you and I we both know that the Earth and our personal lives have been in a state of transitional tension as new energy is being birthed on the planet. And basically, there's a certain group of people, let's call them the little people. We won't call them the elite. We won't call them any names that puff up the power that they think they have. We'll call them the little people. And my thanks to Victoria for that terminology, which I think is very apt. So these little people are trying to push humanity into a state of desperation and trauma so that we come on board with their ghastly Agenda 2030. But I've got to say, in humanity's favor, we now have Saturn and Neptune moving across Gandanta degrees. I'm going to talk about Gandanta degrees now. They're points in the horoscope that indicate transitions between always water signs, Pisces, and fire signs, in this case Aries. And this is a Vedic astrology technique and piece of understanding. Now, obviously, when you've got fire and water together, it creates a lot of steam, and we've noticed a lot of steam in world news. You've probably noticed a lot of steam in your personal life over the last few months as well. Now, collectively, when we have planets of such a big nature like these two at Gandanta degrees, it's an extremely favorable time for spiritual growth and progress as a collective. And so we're going to be seeing, and we are seeing, profound transformations on a large scale, humanity-wise, across the planet. Now, unfortunately, as with most rises in consciousness, such as this one, not to mention the fact that Neptune only conjuncts Saturn, they make a conjunction every 36 years, so this is very rare, and it's happening at Gandanta degrees. Huge energy this is, and this change in consciousness that humanity is going through right now often comes as a result of struggle and tension and, inner turmoil within us energetically. You might be feeling it out there in humanity as well. So this is something to keep in mind. There is a method to this madness. It's going to help humanity rise up and hopefully give the bird to Agenda 2030 for a start, but also rise in consciousness as a collective of human beings on the planet. But that comes with turmoil. Now, Saturn and Neptune's transit at this Aries degree, and they're both going retrograde over the coming months across from Aries. Saturn will go back into Pisces, Neptune will stay in Aries. But this is going to give us another collective chance to untie our collective knots of karma. And it's going to lead humanity as a whole into a major breakthrough in consciousness. Can you see this happening in society as you watch, wherever you get your news from, hopefully not mainstream TV, but wherever you get your news from? Can you see people waking up? Can you see people finally becoming aware of who's pulling the strings and causing all the trouble everywhere on the planet? I can, and I'm excited at the awakening that all this energy is causing, even though it's difficult to live through it. It's really difficult to live through it, and I know on a personal level so many of you are having difficult lives at the moment because of these difficult energies. Untangling karma is often difficult, but it is always liberating. Many of us have felt this, and many people are going to continue to feel this because Saturn and Neptune are going to cross these degrees over the next 2 years. And this explains why things have been difficult. But don't forget that through all this, we're being held. We are absolutely being held. We've got Jupiter visible in the sky at the moment. We've got for the next month the trine to the sun with this energy. But we also have most beautifully, a major grand trine between Uranus, Neptune and Pluto. So here is Pluto, here is Neptune, and here is Uranus. And this is forming all throughout this year and even beyond. So a beautiful, beautiful energy. This indicates that the angels and higher beings, higher energies are helping humanity through this transition, and we have so much to be grateful for that. So keep praying, keep looking to love, because we are being held. Now, I just encourage you, my friends, keep your vibration as high as you can over the coming days, even though the energy to do so will be becoming stronger. But keep living in love, following your heart, creating joy wherever you can, joy for yourself and joy for those you care about. It's also a good time to release any self-sabotaging behaviors and habits that you might have. Things like stubbornness and resistance to change, being a victim, poor me, and blaming everybody around you. They're just some of the things that are good to release out of your life during this time, things that keep you from being your highest vibrational self. Now, Aries Gandanta degrees, where both of these planets are at the moment, it actually is an energy that creates confusion and energetic influences that can be difficult to understand. So put your hand up out there if you want to participate. If you have found life to be very confusing and not being able to sort of grasp why things are happening and why there isn't a more of a shift and a change, why things feel so stuck and you're trying to fathom it all out. Why can't people see what's really going on? That sort of thing. This is the Aries Gandanta degrees of this beautiful and profound societal shift that the conjunction of Neptune and Saturn always brings, happening at Gandanta confusion degrees. So as you can see, this is an important time, really important time, to not only lift your own vibration through love, but to hold one another in love as well. Find a community of like-minded people and support each other through this transition. Share, create, build, establish a new way of living. You know, you're then taking an active part in ushering in the new epoch that's being born at this time with this energy. So I just wanted to mention that because this is part of what's going on in the big picture for 2025. We need to keep it in mind because it's active all year, but particularly June, July, this has been very strong, very active. And that's why so many people are feeling it and struggling and in difficult situations in their life. But what I really want to look at today, and I'm going to break it down for all signs shortly, is the formation of what is known in Vedic astrology, and I've mentioned it already, as the Kal-Sarp Yoga. And this is going to end when Mars crosses the South Node on July 21 or 22, depending where you are in the world. So since April, Saturn moved across the North Node in April, and that put all of the visible Vedic planets, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Mercury, Sun, and Moon, every 2 weeks the Moon was in this realm of the chart, on this side, this singular side of the North Node and South Node. So the North Node and South Node axis cut the chart in two. We had all the visible planets since April on this side only. That's what creates a Kal-Sarp Yoga. If you want to throw into the mix the fact that we had two of the outer planets involved in this as well, making it extra tough and extra hard. So that is what has been formed since Saturn moved across the North Node in April. But now Mars, the first of the planets to get on out of there, crossing the South Node and dissolving and ending that Kal-Sarp Yoga. It's a nasty one, the Kal-Sarp Yoga, and it's so good that it's over. Now, I just want to touch on a little bit of, housekeeping at this point and just say many people ask me in every video I produce if I'm using Vedic or Western astrology. Look, please know I've trained with teachers in both systems and I adhere to the teachings of Ernst Wilhelm, who practices Vedic techniques with a tropical chart. Look, there are deep and powerful reasons why I've chosen this method. Believe me, I'd be way more popular on YouTube if I simply practiced sidereal Vedic astrology, but I choose this path because it works. And its philosophy makes just so much sense. Not because it's going to give me huge popularity. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm here to share knowledge and educate those who follow me here on YouTube. And so that's why I'm doing this, and that's why I'm sticking to what I believe is truth. Now, if you want to understand the deeper whys and wherefores of tropical astrology and sidereal astrology, then I recommend taking level 2 of the Royal Stars Academy. Or you might like to dive deep into the advanced level, where I go really deep with Rahu, Ketu, North Node, South Node, and many other Vedic astrology techniques, including yogas like this one, the Kal-Sarp Yoga. Okay, just housekeeping there. But back to what's happening in the skies. Now, as I said, in April, Saturn crossed the North Node, putting all the visible planets in the hemisphere between the North Node and the South Node and creating this much feared Kal-Sarp Yoga Dasha in Vedic astrology. Basically, it's considered that the planets, when they're in this position, they all become ineffective. They don't produce results based on their full potential. And this is exactly what I've been feeling personally. I've even been at a point where I'm questioning if astrology works at all because nothing seems to be happening with these planets. They don't seem to be doing anything. I feel so stuck. From experience, I absolutely know that astrology works. But there are times when I forget we're in this Kal-Sarp Yoga, and that is why we're not seeing the full potential and manifestation of Jupiter exalted in Cancer or the Moon in Taurus and all that it can do for us. It's just like lackluster. There's no oomph behind any of the planets when they're all in this Kal-Sarp Yoga formation. And so that is why things have sucked since April. Now, it's plain to see now, in retrospect, that humanity has gone through a lot of ups and downs between April and now, and this is the reason why, my friends. The term Kal means time, and the term Sarpa means serpent. So this is the time serpent energy. In Vedic astrology, they consider that Rahu and Ketu are shadowy planets that represent the mouth and the body and the bottom of a serpent. So it's generally believed in your personal life that when we're in the midst of a Kal-Sarp yoga by transit like this, or when you have one in your natal chart, heaven forbid, that you experience things like delays at the workplace or delays with the projects you're working on, losses in business, obstacles that block your growth, struggles with mental health, issues with health and anxiety, misunderstandings between people, relationship frictions. I mean, I've seen this so much, that anxiety is something I've never had to really deal with in life until last year. And then I thought I dealt with it, and along comes Kal-Sarp yoga, anxiety all over again. What the? Misunderstandings in my family, between family members. I'll say one thing, somebody will take it the wrong way, and all hell breaks loose. Like, these are the kinds of things that Kal-Sarp yoga does, and it sucks. But it has some positive effects as well for some people. So it can make us, if we have this in our natal chart, more hardworking. And by transit, you might have been more inspired to just, put your head down, tail up, and just get on with it. Just do what needs doing. Be more practical. That can happen during Kal-Sarp yoga for those of us who are determined and full of, like they're not going to keep me down kind of energy. You can also develop more interest in spirituality, philosophy. Some people become more philanthropic under Kal-Sarp yoga, so that can be positive as well. So it's not all doom and gloom, my friends. You might have been one of the people that this Kal-Sarp yoga has uplifted in some way that I've just referred to. But most of the time, it's hard. Because all the planets have been on the right side of the South Node, we need to be very careful of just staying, or we need to have been for the last few months, have been very careful about just staying in our comfort zone, ignoring this tremendous opportunity for spiritual growth, even with, Neptune and Saturn doing all they can to raise consciousness and the awareness of humanity because they're in Gandanta degrees. This Kal-Sarp yoga has kept it from really reaching its full force. Collectively, and this also applies personally as well. So you may have needed to absolutely force yourself to take a risk, force yourself to make a change, force yourself to face the fears that you have and move beyond your comfort zone in order to have long-term well-being. And if you've given up and buried your head in the sand and you just, tried to stay put and ignore it, then it can really come home to roost for you now as the Kal-Sarp yoga ends. Even if you've wanted to force change in your life, the ability to have done so will have been thwarted. So you might have put all the actions in place, but nothing happens. And it's a horrible time of feeling stuck in the mud. Horrible, horrible time, the Kal-Sarp yoga. Now, if you've have been able to begin some change or, take some steps towards the change that you want to happen in your life, as the majority of planets at this time are actually in more influence of the North Node, then you're going to notice now that Kal-Sarp yoga is over, you're increasingly going to be able to move into serious life success, to move forward, to move up, to move beyond the circumstances that you've been at. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is if you've put one foot in front of the other, kept your head down, tail up, and kept on plodding throughout Kal-Sarp yoga period from April to now, 21st of July. If you've been patient, if you've been enduring, if you've been stoic and just kept on keeping on, as the old ad in Australia used to say, if you've pushed forward, applying for those jobs on the other side of the country, even though you're not even hearing anything back, not getting interviews, it's just like tumbleweeds. If you've been putting your house on the market, continuing to hold open days, even though nobody's shown any interest, if you keep on investing in that marriage that feels like it's dead in the water, then now when Kal-Sarp yoga ends, success and fruit for your labors begin to arrive. Thank God this dasha is over. We're all sick of being stuck in the mud and not seeing any change, not seeing any reward for our efforts. So I, for one, am celebrating this week the end of Kal-Sarp yoga. Thank you, Mars, for causing this to come to a screaming halt. We are ready for the halting of the Kal-Sarp yoga and the momentum of life to now return. Because what's going to happen? All these planets are going to get their full force of power back. You've got the sun in its own sign, Leo, powerful. You've got Jupiter exalted in Cancer, brilliant energy. You've got the life-changing momentum of Uranus moving through Gemini now. And so many other factors that are now going to be felt and push forward, especially this Uranus has moved into a new sign. So, I've been like, come on, Uranus, where's the change? Where's the change? Wanting it to happen instantly. But now that the Kalsap Yoga is over, boom, we're going to see Uranus in Gemini really hit its full force. And I, for one, can't wait for all this new manifestation that's coming. Well, thank you for listening to my introduction. I hope it all makes sense. I hope you find it insightful and empowering and uplifting, because when we have knowledge about what's going on and why things are happening the way they are, then we have power over our own life because we have understanding. Now I'm going to talk about what's happening for each and every sign. And away we go. So we are actually starting with precious Pisces, because that's where the North Node is. And that is actually going to be the area that we're going to feel the change in more than anything. So Pisces, it's in the first house for you. And this yoga has meant that for Pisces rising sun or moon people, mostly rising, all the planets have been down below the horizon line in the astrology chart, in the southern hemisphere of the chart. So because of that, it's been a time of observation for Pisces people. They're looking at what's happening in the world, making their judgments, making their assessments before they plan to move. This is an observational time. So it hasn't been a time for busting our gut trying to make things happen. It's been a time for Pisces people to just put one foot in front of the other, plod, and get through this shit show, and to come out the other side ready to roll, ready to rumble, because now the universal timing is on Pisces' side. So this might be mostly to do with maybe health issues. Maybe you've been looking for answers for a health issue during this time, because this is the house of the body. Certainly as a Pisces rising, I've had this. I've had the fascia in my left side has been aching chronically, on and off, for the last couple of months due to stress, and I've been looking for answers. Fortunately, in my day job, I work part-time at a chiropractic clinic, which has provided me with the answers that I need to help do something about this. So it's been about looking for answers. What am I eating? How am I exercising? What stretches am I doing, etc. So looking at my health, assessing what I need to do, and putting some routines in place that now are taking effect. Now I'm feeling the change. Now I'm feeling the difference. What about you and your physical health with all of this taking place in the first house? What about misunderstandings with others? Have you been sort of, putting yourself out there, saying your piece, sharing what you think, and other people just keep misinterpreting what you're saying, or not appreciating what you're offering, or throwing it back in your face? This is exactly the energy that you've probably been feeling and may feel up until the 21st of July, when this energy of the Kalsap Yoga will dissolve. Also, hopefully none of you Pisces people have got involved in any sort of get-rich-quick schemes, because, they probably haven't manifested anything for you. If you've been gambling or playing the stock market extensively or buying too many raffle tickets, then the losses will have outweighed the wins in that area for the last few months. But now, if you've lived economically and sensibly and lived within your means, Pisces, over this time, it's now time that you can start to look beyond the normal, bread on the table, paying the electricity bill, etc., and start to look at the little extras that you might want to invest in life, little opportunities that you might want to get behind and see if they do anything for you. We can actually start to move in that direction now. Some Pisces people might have had to wrangle with the law, the police. There might have been frustration in, as I've said, personal relationships, not just, people you meet on the street, but people that you share your home intimately with and that sort of thing. There might have been some frustrations there. And I mentioned earlier personal health issues. But this is all coming to a conclusion now. You'll find the answers to those personal health issues. You'll find that any wrangling with the law or issues with tax, in fact, don't do your tax, Pisces, until after this is all over. In Australia, our tax year ends on the 30th of June. So if you can hold off until after the 21st of July, you're going to be in a much better position to do your tax, Pisces, and anyone actually for that matter. So this is all about now that we're moving out of the Kalsap Yoga on the 21st of July, it's time to move into sort of some new instigations, some new investments, new entrepreneurism, which is a first house energy. Put yourself out there in the world. during this time from the 21st of July onwards. And so you're going to get better results, more reward for effort going forward from this time as well. So I'm excited because this time has come to an end. Life is going to get better from now on, Pisces. Moving along to Aquarius rising, sun or moon people. Well, the outflow of the end of this Kalsap Yoga period will be felt mostly on the second house, 8th house axis. Particularly, we're looking at the North Node directional influence down here in the second house. So, this has been a time since April where your public reputation might have come under a bit of I was going to say duress. That may or may not be the right word, but you might have reacted to people. You might have gossiped about people, and it really went sour for you. It really caused a lot of difficulty in your life, because with this combination of Kalsap Yoga, what you say and how you use your words can blow out of proportion. And so you can be more subject to rumors, defamation, and gossip. Some of you Aquarius people might have experienced that over the last couple of weeks and months since April. And now that's ending. Now you can put yourself back in good stead, good reputation. You can correct any misunderstandings that were occurring between you and other people. Talk-wise, gossip-wise, rumor-wise, you can put it all back together again. Some of you might have had difficulty with your intimate love life. Private moments might have required you to be a bit more sensitive, a bit more understanding of partners and their needs. They could have also, personal relationships and intimate love life could have caused some sort of anxieties or issues in some way. And so now is a chance, now that the Kalsap Yoga is ending on the 21st of July, for that to finish for you to wrap up those difficulties and get things back to a beautiful harmony again, beautiful balance again. There might have been a bit of a roller coaster ride with inheritances. There might have even been, for some of you, some loss of an inheritance, loss of some sort of something that you thought you were going to receive in a will. And certainly the second house is the house of spending and saving. And you would have been wise over the months if you'd listened to my initial video on the Kalsap Yoga back in April, where I said, be very conservative about how you spend. And if you did that, then you'll be, thanking your lucky stars that you chose to follow the conservative principles of spending and saving for these few months. Now that's all over, you can sort of loosen the purse strings a bit. You can invest in things again. You can start to spend money on the nice pleasures of life again, where you may not have been able to for the last 3 months or so. We will also see perhaps a shift of energy around an inheritance or a will. You might have had some issue or difficulty with an inheritance or a will, and now it's resolved. Now it's coming back to bless you, now that this energy is winding up, thank God. So any investments, any savings, implementation, any big purchases, if you listen to my initial video, should have been postponed until after the 21st of July. And if you've done that, now you can go buy that new couch or that new car, or buy that lovely tree that you've wanted to purchase for your garden, or whatever it is, something that's a bigger than usual outlay of money. You can actually go for it now. So pleased to tell you this. Now also, this is an energy of finance, and the Kalsap Yoga does have to do with losses in business. So if you've been running your own business and that's where you get most of your money and finance from for your day-to-day living, then there might have been some challenges. You might have had to sort of what do they call it? Sandbag the walls, so to speak, to keep the money from just flooding out. Now you can put permanent fixtures in place. I'm using a metaphor here. Now things can be a bit more solid and secure and safe. Second house is feeling safe, feeling solid, feeling secure, with resources and money. Not so many losses now. Not so many delays with your workplace or business issues, if you have your own entrepreneurial business, that is. So I'm really, really pleased about that message for you, my beautiful Aquarian friends. There is new momentum in the second house for you, new money coming in, new opportunities to create resources for yourself, and a new opportunity to create a sense of stability and security for life. Just what you need, Aquarius. Moving along to Capricorn. Capricorn rising, Capricorn Sun, Capricorn Moon people. Well, the Kalsarp Yoga has been forming, let me just hold that nice and steady, forming for you between the 3rd house, 9th house axis, but it's mostly going to be now felt the freedom and release channeling through the North Node here in Pisces, your 3rd house. So this is a fascinating time for a start, because 3rd house is a very interesting energy. It's the 8th house from the 8th, so it's a house of significant life turns around, significant life change. Naturally, this is in store for you, my Capricorn friends. There may have been domestic problems, especially if you happen to sort of have a lot to do with your siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, and relatives. There might have been some upheavals there, some misunderstandings with those people over the last couple of months since April. There might have been some struggles with those particular people, maybe some issues that caused you anxiety with those people. Maybe something happened with a sibling and it just caused you to feel so frustrated that you could barely sleep at night. Issues that affected your mental well-being coming from your interactions with the people represented by the 3rd house, relatives and so forth. Now, they might, if you look beyond yourself, because not everything in our chart is affecting us directly. Sometimes energies are playing out with the people represented by certain houses. In this case, maybe this Kalsarp Yoga caused the lives of your siblings or cousins or aunts and uncles to get tougher. Maybe they've been going through the ringer. Maybe they've had to work hard and not see any rewards from their labors. So maybe it was affecting them because it was occurring here in your chart, Capricorn. That can sometimes be the case. Sometimes also as well with the 3rd house. 3rd house is your own business. How we make money from our own efforts is a 3rd house energy. And that's why it's associated with craftsmanship, and buying and selling. Because these 3rd house things, if you can create leather wallets and you want to sell them, well, that's a 3rd house, your own endeavor, your own entrepreneurial business, making money with the skills of your hands, leatherworking, seamstressing, even I would suggest things like cabinet making and stuff like that. So you might have had some struggles or some losses with a business that you run as a result of the Kalsarp Yoga here. Maybe you just weren't getting enough, sign-ups for your cabinet making business, and you're just sort of like, I have to resort to maybe doing up furniture on YouTube. Maybe that turns out to be the best thing you've ever done, instead of actually doing contracted work for people making cabinets and whatever. So my point being is that there might have been a blockage or a restriction or a delay with your business based on the skills and knowledge that you share with others in some way. That's a 3rd house energy. If you're dependent on marketing and advertising, workshops, teaching, then there might have been a dry patch in your life since April. But good news is it's about to get momentum again after the 21st of July, because the Kalsarp Yoga ends. Now is the time to kick off that advertising, that marketing campaign, to really whip it into gear, because you're going to get more results for your efforts now, Capricorn friends. You're going to start to see, if you've got a market stall selling goods that you make or produce, they're going to actually get more traction now, more interest in what you're putting out there now. Your creativity now. Not that this is particularly a house of creativity, but it's a house of craftsmanship, okay? So this is a powerful time of shifting of the energy, and you will notice it, Capricorn, very strongly, because, as I said, the 3rd house is the 8th from the 8th. It always indicates a marked shift of life, of energy. 3rd house. A lot of people think the 3rd house is immaterial and unimportant. It's a restless energy. Yep, fine. But it actually is one of the biggest houses of change, because it's the 8th house from the 8th. And often when we have transits to the 3rd house, our life is particularly turned upside down, for better or worse. So now that we are having the end of the Kalsarp Yoga, it is directing the outworking energy of change through the 3rd house. You are going to find that your small businesses can flourish, your relationships with your neighbors and siblings and cousins and aunts and uncles go better. You get more rewards for your labors and the craft work that you do, as well as your siblings, cousins, aunts and uncles getting more rewards for their efforts in life as well. And now is the time to jump on social media, do some marketing, do some advertising, because things have a different level of energy and you're going to get the reward that you hope for now. Thank you, beautiful Capricorn friends. Moving along to Sagittarius. Sagittarius rising, sun or moon people. Well, my beautiful Saggy friends have had some restrictions since April in the fourth house arena of life, because that is where the outworking of the North Node in this Kalsarp Yoga construct here has been coming out. So this is a very interesting one. There might have been, for many of you Sagittarius people, some sort of obstacles with real estate, renting, buying, selling, property development. There might have been some blockage or obstacles creating gardens or farming or doing renovations because of the energy of the Kalsarp Yoga restricting and holding things back. And if you've been looking for some sort of wealth creation, that could have proved problematic during this transit as well since April. The general education might have also experienced some roadblocks. You might have been applying to join some sort of degree program left, right and center in every university across the country. Nothing's happening. Not hearing back from the people you need to hear back from. Now the Kalsarp Yoga concludes and everybody's going to be making you an offer. All the momentum comes rushing in, happy to say, my beautiful, beautiful Saggy friends. It's been a time when you will have needed to guard your mental health, because just feeling so stuck. I mean, you're a Sagittarius. Feeling this stuck, feeling this restricted, feeling like life is not moving forward. Oh my gosh, it is death to a Sagittarius person who wants to continually expand and progress. So, being able to be at peace in the world, being able to find that inner solace might have been very difficult to come by for the last 3 months, my beautiful Saggy friends. In fact, there might have even been things happening in your life that have worked to do the opposite for you. So hopefully over the last 3 months or so since April, you've practiced mindfulness, prayer, that you've sought support from loved ones if everything was just getting all a little bit too much. Hopefully you've protected yourself from the energy vampires that are everywhere in the world by honoring your needs, retaining your private space when necessary, having some time out from the ordinary every day, creating little moments of unstuckness, little novelties, little experiences that give life a bit of a boost, a bit of a lift. Hopefully you've had a chance to do that. But now, keep doing those things because they're fun to do, but now it's going to shift. Now it's going to change into feeling lighter. Your mental energy, your mental and emotional well-being is going to be so much better after the 21st of this month, my beautiful Sagittarius friends. If you've been wanting to do renovations and you haven't been able to find a builder or an electrician or somebody that you could trust to do what you want them to do to your home, for example, or if you wanted someone to come and give the garden an overhaul but you couldn't find anyone who was free, and so on and so on. If you wanted to change the decor of your house but you couldn't find that particular couch that you liked or the painting that you wanted, if you've wanted to get involved in some building investment or some real estate projects, if you've been wanting to get invested in some sort of gardening or farming endeavors, now is the time. Okay? You've probably had delays and blocks and restrictions and feeling stuck since April. Now is the time. You can move forward with those things. You can see things start to manifest. That builder calls you up and says, I'm available this week. When can I start? That gardening contracting team are like, we're free. We're going to come in, and they come in and give the garden an overhaul, and it feels like spring in your garden. It's beautiful. This is a beautiful time when the momentum starts to kick in and you've been waiting for it for so long now, Sagittarius, I'm very pleased to say. So lots of progress in fourth house realms of life for our Sagittarius friends. I should also add mothers and families, because fourth house is mother energy. So if there's been any problematic experiences with a mother figure, needn't be an actual blood relative mother. It could be just someone who has the maternal role in your life. If you have had troubles with family, blockages and restrictions with family, that kind of can dissolve away now as the Kalsarp Yoga comes to a delightful end. Yay! Thank you, Sagittarius. Moving on to Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon people, mostly rising though. We are having the Kalsarp Yoga come to an end on the 21st of July, and it's going to be expressing through your fifth house more than anything, my beautiful Scorpio friends. And so this is where This is a time rather where you may have felt since April that your luck was low. You know, if you took a risk, it didn't pay off or it backfired in your face. You know, you put yourself out there to ask that person on a date and they said, sorry, I'm too busy. And every time you asked them, they weren't interested. Oh my gosh, the damage to the ego when that happens, it's terrible. But not just romance, it could have been any kind of lucky venture that was like, oh, well, that didn't work out, did it? It was a time since April where, if you listen to my original video about the Kalsarp Yoga back in April, where I advised you to make any decisions with a lot of caution and consideration. I probably use the phrase look before you leap and avoid gambling, avoid any risk taking where you possibly could, because it wouldn't work out for you. Well, now that we're at the end of that Kalsarp Yoga period, then you can actually start to see that luck comes back again, that risks begin to pay off again, that you don't need to be so conservative with the decisions that you're making, so considered. You can sort of go on your gut instinct now, back to the way things probably were before April when this energy formed. So you probably have felt like, you know, everything I'm putting energy into, my creativity, my studying, my prowess is just not getting recognition. I'm not getting any reward for effort. And that just, you know, it's the worst feeling in the world. You keep putting yourself out there, doing what you need to do. The career is experiencing some upheavals. The studying doesn't get, like, you spend all night up writing an essay and it gets a D. You know, these sorts of energies suck because you put so much effort into those things and it gets little traction. I want to just say that's finishing. That's finishing now. 21st of the month, 21st of July, everything is going to shift as this yoga of stuckness and lacking in oomph energy comes to a conclusion. So if you have put one foot in front of the other, Scorpio, if you have, persevered through it all and rewritten that essay again, or tried again with that project that you want to put out there into the world, well, blessing can come, because this is actually a very lucky house. And if you've persevered and been stoic and enduring, then rewards and blessing can come now. This might have been a period when you might have felt a bit unwell, as also this energy of Kalsarp Yoga sort of draining a lot of the joy and vitality out of your life. That might have been, in some cases, your undoing. Maybe you had to have 3 weeks off work because you were sick and unwell. Also, we can say with this placement of Kalsarp Yoga funnel, if you like, there might have been some enemies that were actually dragging you down and you weren't even aware of it, perhaps. So that can also happen for Kalsarp Yoga funneling through the 5th house, because it's part of the axis of the 5-11 in this case, and the 11 meaning people. This is large groups of people sort of not helping you achieve your autonomy or your creative desires. So this is really, I don't mean to sort of focus on the negative. I'm trying to explain, though, what has been going on energetically with this Kalsarp Yoga. But now, after the 21st of July, any creative endeavors, any studies that you're undertaking, any romantic overtures that you want to make, any important sports games, any important career steps you want to take. And I say that because this is actually the 8th house from the 10th, meaning change in career, can be very favored after the 21st of July, can be very much rewarded after the 21st of July, and will result in good progress for you in the journey of your life after the 21st of July. So ask that girl out for a date, or sit that exam, put that beautiful play together, and start looking for a venue to produce it. Start making those 5th house overtures towards success and prosperity and abundance now that the Kalsarp Yoga has finished here. Thank you, Scorpio. And now to lovely Libras. Well, Libra, this Kalsarp Yoga ending on the 21st of July is going to give new momentum to your sixth house. So you might have noticed for the last few months since April, when this Kalsarp yoga formed, that you were perhaps having some health issues. I certainly have. I've had a bit of anxiety come back, which I thought I'd well and truly dealt with. Have had issues with my fascia, and now I have resolved those issues. I talked about that because you know what, this is playing out in Pisces, my rising sign, as well as the sixth house of my Libra sign. So look out. Health issues have probably been at the fore, but now there's new momentum in the sixth house energy, that now we've got new capacity to deal with our health issues, our vitality issues. Now we've got new potential to sort of find solutions to where we're not fit enough, not getting enough sleep, not having a good routine. Things take on a much better energy. Yay! Less struggles, less issues with health and mental well-being as well. So there could have also been some issues though with domestic life and harmony in the home. Now, not for everybody, but some of you Librans might have felt that. You might have felt like nothing was going smoothly since April. But if you watch my video back on this Kalsarp yoga back that I did in April, you will have heard me say that, you know, we've got to keep our stoicism and do our best to flow with what is happening and tackle each problem one-on-one as it arises and just keep moving forward, having some strategies to counteract any worries, anxiety or racing thoughts. And if you've done that, then the good news is that we are coming out the other side of the tunnel. We are emerging into the sunshine. That time of having to have those strategies, of having to pace ourselves and be stoic, is coming to a conclusion. So that not only applies to health, but also this is one of the houses, this is an Arthur house in Vedic astrology. It's how we make our money. It's how we work and generate resources. So Arthur houses in astrology, in Vedic astrology, are about generating income and wealth, and this is the house of work. So your work you might have felt like, oh, I'm just having to work so hard to get so little, and it's going nowhere. I'm not getting ahead. It's so frustrating. I don't like my job, or I'm finding that I'm having to take on extra work just to cope. Well, that is just the nature of this shitty Kalsarp yoga, but it is over now. 21st of July, it ends. And so now you're probably finding, I've got more work than I can handle, and therefore more money coming in, and I am busy, and the efforts that I'm putting in are being well rewarded. You're probably finding that you are succeeding over competitors and even in some cases your enemies now, because this is enemies and competitors are seen through the sixth house. There might have been, if you've really done your best to keep your karma clean, this is the house of purging our karma. If you've really worked hard to not, say anything, do anything, or undermine your own life by self-sabotaging or undermine the lives of anybody else, if you've done your best to keep everything above board and honest and true, then the rewards come to you now that this Kalsarp yoga is over. And you start to not only see momentum, but you get karmic rewards here. This is the karmic axis. South node in the 12th, north node in the 6th. You start to get the karmic rewards for your perseverance, for your endurance, for your stoicism. So excellent energy, I'm happy to say, Libra. Also, you might find that after the 21st of July that, this is so me actually, I have to tell you, I have been trying to declutter my home and sort of spring clean it through the middle of winter in Australia, which is always a hard thing to do when you live in a cold part of Australia like I do. You just don't want to go outside to the shed because it's freezing. But I've been trying to, because of the idea that as without, so within. If you live in a cluttered, dirty old house, then you have a cluttered, dirty sort of mind and heart and soul, and it can affect your vitality and your vibration. So I've been trying to spring clean my house, but every time I clean something, there's more crap that I've got to deal with, or there's not enough room to store it, or blah, blah, blah. There's some blockage, some obstacle to me being able to clean and harmonize and balance my home space. So good news for Libran people is now that the Kalsarp yoga is ending on the 21st of July, any cleaning and spring cleaning that you're doing, any instigation of new routines, any healthcare visits to healthcare professionals are going to be all well rewarded. You know, you work out at the gym, you're going to come home feeling fit and full of vitality rather than burnt out and arms and legs feeling like lead. You're going to feel like you go to visit the naturopath and you get the answers that you're seeking. You're going to feel after the 21st of July, you clean out your shoe cupboard and there's more space than you thought you'd have, rather than not enough space for all the shoes that you've got. So good things come when we, in the sixth house realm, and we have more momentum in the sixth house after the 21st of July. Now, if you've had relationship misunderstandings or friction with somebody at your place of work, with a colleague, with somebody who's offering a service to you, because this is a house of service. So let's say you had a run-in with your barista and you argued one day over something that you were talking about while they were making your coffee. That's a service, making a coffee for you at the local coffee shop. Or maybe you had went head-to-head with your builder about some kitchen design that, wasn't going to work, and they were convinced it would and you didn't want it. If you've had any of those sorts of frictions and misunderstandings with people offering service to you, you can actually write it and rectify it now after the 21st of July and get everything back on track. Go pay that barista a visit, take a peace offering of a bunch of flowers out of your garden or something like that, and let things get back on track and harmonious and balanced once again. So that's what I'm really feeling into for my Libran friends, is those practical, everyday, routine things that are now going to be more effective and have more momentum and give more blessing than they probably have since April. Thank you, Libra. Moving to Virgo rising, sun or moon people. Well, Virgo, you know what? Since April, the Kalsap Yoga has formed on your horizon axis, giving all the visible planets above the horizon for you. So, that has probably caused you to need to be very wary since April about your public life, about what you're putting out to the world, and the reputation that you're developing. Really, it's been a time since April where you've had to think twice before leaving that comment on YouTube or spreading some gossip or making that Instagram post, because what you did between April and the 21st of July, it would have long-ranging effects into the future. You're probably noticing that at the moment. Things that you did then, for better or worse, could come back to haunt you. So, in fact, I don't know, I'm kind of thinking I probably need to delete all my own social media. I'm not a Virgo person, but I need to delete all my own social media stuff at the moment, because I've been sharing a lot of what I'm passionate about, but it doesn't align with the agenda that some people have, and therefore could get me in a lot of trouble in the future. So I'm not a Virgo person, but I'm going to be looking at what I've put out there in the world through various mechanisms, and perhaps paring things back, deleting a few things, making a few changes. You might like to think of doing the same if you haven't done so already, Virgo. But basically, after the 21st of July, things are going to be a lot better. You won't get as many repercussions for what you're sharing or the reputation you're developing out there in the world. You'll get more positive influence. So that's good news. Now, romance might have been difficult when the moon was transiting between Pisces and Virgo for the last couple of months, since April. So if you've been a single Virgo person looking for a date or wanting to discuss a relationship issue with a partner, and you just couldn't find the time to talk things out with your partner, or you're looking online, scrolling through Bumble and whatever else there is out there, looking for somebody to just meet and get to know and have a date with, and it's just empty tumbleweed city, know that the end of that period of friction and frustration in relationships is coming to an end, Virgo, on the 21st of July. You might jump on Bumble on the 22nd or 23rd of July and start scrolling, and boom, there's the love of your life right there. Might not happen as sort of fireworks like as that, but there's going to be perhaps more advantage than you've seen in a couple of months. Or if you've been wanting to have a chat with your partner about an issue, and he or she has just been too busy, they've got so much going on at work and they don't have time to sort of sit down and have that big, deep and meaningful discussion. Now, after the 21st of July, you can do that. You can address relationship issues. You can sort out relationship problems. You can, make harmony and rebalancing of things that were out of whack with your partner now after the 21st of July. So really good time to actually invest in your relationship and reestablish something in your relationships, and not just romantic relationships either, but contractual relationships, business relationships, client relationships, patient doctor relationships, all that sort of, wherever there is a meeting of two people, it's sort of a give and take energy. They're giving you something, you're paying the doctor, they're giving you their wisdom and so on. There's a give and take. Any give and take relationships are seen from the 7th house. And so if you've had struggles with give and take relationships or problems with give and take relationships, they're all going to be wrapping up now. If you've been awaiting some sort of ancestral property, not everybody who is a Virgo will have been doing that, but the patience and the perseverance that you might have had to apply can disappear now. You don't have to wait so long. Your access to some sort of ancestral property, remember this is a Vedic yoga that we're looking at here, so themes are a little bit different to the Western. But yeah, you're awaiting the access to an ancestral property, or the right to visit an ancestral property or something like that can now come to you. You might find also, for many of you beautiful Virgo people, that you've probably been a bit more inclined to look into the occult or spiritual topics or metaphysical or Gnostic kind of exploration or something over the past 3 months. And if you've done that, then congratulations to you, because you've used that energy of the Kalsarp yoga as wisely as it's possible to use it. And if you've researched and studied those mystical topics, astrology included, during the last 3 months, like I suggested back in April in the video I did about Kalsarp, then you will have actually come out the other side feeling very successful and having expanded your understanding of the world quite significantly. In the shadow energy, some of you Virgo people might have wanted to just run away from the world for the last 3 months, and I'm not a Virgo person, but I absolutely have wanted to as well. It's all just a little bit much at the moment, that's for sure. The thing is, if you've done that, if you've sort of put your head in the sand or buried yourself away for too long, you may regret that after July the 21st, because maybe you haven't been participating in something that you needed to be there for to make a certain change. You might have been, in some cases, you might have been giving away things that are precious to you, and then you regret it after July 21st. So hopefully that's not the case for my friends who are watching this, who are Virgo rising particularly. This is an energy that I warned everybody about prior to back in April. So hopefully we're at a really good stance now, Virgo, where everything has worked out for the greater good. Now, your interactions, as I've already described, with marriage partners, business associates, professionals, clients, and general audience are blessed now. So if you've got to organize a particular meeting or a signing of a contract or some kind of agreement that you need to negotiate, do it after July 21st in most parts of the world, and the results will be very favorable. Before the July 21st, you're still in Kalsarp yoga, and it's not the best time. So just some advice there going forward for the week ahead. If you can time these things to work with the planetary energies, you get the benefits. Alrighty, thank you, Virgo. Leo rising, Leo sun, and Leo moon people. Well, the Kalsarp yoga has formed between North Node and South Node, and it's expressing mostly through the North Node now that it's coming to a much desired conclusion. So this is coming out, or expressing, I should say, through your 8th house. And so the 8th house energy is really emphasizing the physical and mental well-being that you've been going through, Leo, for the last couple of months. So you might have felt, and I certainly can align with this information, I felt for the last couple of months more paranoid, a bit more melancholy, a bit more, not so much irritable, but just despondent. Look at what's going on in the world. Look at what's happening. What can we do about that? We feel so helpless. Those sort of, particularly for somebody with Jupiter in the first house like me, just big picture, frustration. Look at the big picture. It just feels so difficult now. And that's Kalsarp yoga, So Leo, I just want to encourage you, if you felt that way, if you felt a bit obsessive and paranoid and you're just scrolling through TikTok all day long, looking at all these reports about what's happening in the world and so on, and it brings you down, know that this energy is wrapping up and ending, and it's just been the Kalsap Yoga. Now that feeling of despondency and despair, like what can we do? I feel irritable because I can't make the change. I have no control over what's going on. That comes to an end. Leo, if you have had a desire to speak out against injustices, it might have actually gone against you. I know that I've been fully aware of this Kalsap energy and it's been in the back of my mind, but I still couldn't resist putting things on Instagram, putting things on, I don't really use Facebook very much, but maybe a few things I've popped on Facebook, and just speaking my mind about a lot of the injustices and things that I see happening in the world. It's probably not done me any favors. And now I was sharing this earlier with a different sign. I think it must have been Pisces. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, I need to go back through everything that I've shared and delete it off, because it could cause me trouble in the long run. And certainly there's been a few head-to-head confrontations with people who had different beliefs. So not that this is a house of beliefs, but in Vedic astrology, this is this is actually part of the Kalsap Yoga in this realm of the chart. You know, our passions, our convictions. I mean, yes, we've got beliefs in the 9th house, but the 8th house, it's what we are obsessed by. It's what we feel passionately about. And so it really does come into this speaking up for what we think is worth speaking up over, because we feel so strongly and so passionately about it, we can barely resist telling other people. Certainly when I get like that, I know it seems to piss everybody else off. So, but I just want people to see and understand the perspective that I can see and understand. Equally, I should be open to other people's perspectives as well. And I do try to be, thanks to the Libra moon in me. Back to Leo sun sign, or moon sign or rising sign particularly. You've probably found since April that you've been working really, really hard. And that could be in any area of life, a house, a career, a marriage, a business, but felt like you were getting nowhere, Leo. So, just like there's just things aren't gelling. There's been maybe things aren't coming together the way you would have hoped they would. But there can also have been ups and downs in all financial matters as well, legal issues, taxation issues, and generally frustrations and blockages about getting what you actually feel that you deserve at this time. You're not getting, you're putting this project out in the world, but you're not getting paid very well for it, and it's just so frustrating. Or you keep offering this particular service to society and nobody seems to appreciate it. Things like that can just be really triggering you, or may have triggered you over the months since April. But after July 21st, all that hard work in whatever realm of life that you're thinking about, it's going to get momentum. It's going to have traction now. So you've been working on your marriage. It's going to start to pay off, and you're going to feel more closely bonded with your partner, particularly in this house, because it's a house of not just a contract with a partner. It's the house of how deeply you're invested, how passionately you feel about your partnership. So Leo, that you've probably been through some, maybe some frustrations or some issues in your marriage. If you've been working hard on it, then now after the 21st of July, the passion returns. The sex is great. That energy of deep love and, feeling really bonded with your partner comes. And I'm using that as an example. Anything, if you've been working on your house, but maybe you haven't been able to find the right nails for the job that you needed, or the right tools were, just didn't, you couldn't get a hold of them or whatever. Now you've got what you need, and away you go on the working on your house. Or if you've been working on a business or your career or a project, now your hard work, your stoicism, your endurance can actually cause success and benefit to come your way. Happy to say, 21st of July, end of Kalsap Yoga. Can't wait for it. Also, after the 21st of July, my beautiful Leo friends, it is time for speaking your truth. I've talked about deleting things off my public voice, my Instagram and so forth. Deleting stuff off there. Actually, for anyone who's interested, I'm on TikTok. I'm also on Red Note. I've really increased my presence, and a lot of it hasn't got much traction, I have to say. So do come follow me if you'd like to. A lot of it hasn't got a lot of traction, but that's because it's been undertaken during Kalsarp Yoga. Now we're after the 21st of July. I'm going to be able to see more momentum with it. Taking those steps to put myself out there will be more rewarded. But also, if you're taking any steps to instigate a new life, you're going to get more reward now. David and I are looking at where we're going to be and what the trajectory of our life is going to be like. Now, after the 21st of July, we're going to both be able to see things starting to gel. Okay, maybe there'll be a job offer here, or maybe there'll be an opportunity to study something at university there, or maybe there'll be a chance to move our life in this direction. If you've been putting one foot after another, putting yourself out there, being stoic, being persevering, up all through Kalsarp Yoga, then now when it ends, boom, the results come flooding in. Happy to say, get ready for it, Leo. If you've been dealing with important financial documents or writing wills, and if anything like that, now is the time that the rewards and the results start to come in. And indeed, if you want to take action around those areas, the best time to do it is after the 21st of July. You will start to see better rewards for your efforts. So write that will or file your tax return. Put that new Red Note page, a Red Note account up on Red Note or something. Put yourself out there. Take those bold steps to initiate a new life for yourself, and you will see more reward for effort after the 21st of July. Thank you, Leo. Okay, Cancer rising, Cancer sun, and Cancer moon people. Well, you have had Kalsarp Yoga forming between your 9th house and your 3rd house, and this has been the case since April. Now we are going to see a lot of, I was going to say melancholy, that's not the word I'm looking for. We're going to see a lot of momentum coming into your life, and it'll be expressing through the 9th house where the North Node is. So maybe for the last 3 months, you might have had trouble in business affairs, or if you had a position of power, there might have been a bit of a struggle to hold on to that position of power or that position of leadership or guruship. Now that fractious time comes to an end. This is a time. Yeah. So during Kalsarp Yoga, because it's a stuck energy, it's an energy of feeling like you're caught in the quicksand. This often arises when it's expressing through the 9th house because you've been too dogmatic. You've not seen the perspective of others. You've had a sort of more self-focused disposition rather than what's everybody else experiencing? What are their beliefs? What do they understand life to be kind of approach? So that changes. So what I'm saying here for my beautiful Cancer friends is there's a shift in you at the end of this Kalsarp Yoga. There's a shift in how you see the world, in your worldview. It might have been very self-oriented up until the 21st of July when this energy ends. And then we move into no Kalsarp Yoga. It's gone now, it's dissolved. And suddenly you see the world in a different light, in a different way. Suddenly you have a new perspective on the beliefs and morality and standards of other people and other cultures. So it can be very enlightening for you, but only because you've probably had to go through the ringer for the last 3 months in regards to your beliefs and your worldview. You might have found, Cancer, that you've had to fight for your rights in some way. The right to, might practice some sort of occupation. The right to, have what every person should be entitled to as a warm home or a roof over their head or a job to put food on the table. You might have had to fight to keep that. Now the fight ends and now the blessing comes. So it's really, now after the 21st of July, it's a time for standing up for your beliefs. It's a time for planning changes to your business because and your career direction can actually be blessed now as well to have more momentum and more forward motion. But not only that, when I say standing up for your beliefs, let's go back to that topic. Speaking your truth, standing up for your beliefs. This is the house, as I said, observing what's around you and, getting some worldview. Now your worldview has changed. And when you speak up, it's not just because you've got a dogmatic opinion about the way things are, but you've got a more enlightened perspective thanks to the Kalsarp Yoga. So it's not all bad. It does teach us. It does serve a purpose, even though it can feel pretty heavy and stuck. So that's some good news for our Cancer friends. Not only that, this is the house of visas and travel documents and anything internationally flavored, residency in other countries and that sort of thing. If you felt stuck with that sort of thing, this is one of the energies that can shift the momentum, and you might start to see, finally I get my visa, or finally I get my travel documents that I need. If you've been trying to book an air flight but you haven't been able to find one that has enough seats or that's going at the right time, then after the 21st of July, boom, it all happens. You might find that you get just what you need for some travel that you're planning, or the entry into a university. The ninth house is universities and professors and gurus and so forth. If you've been trying to get accepted into a university, you might have felt stuck and blocked and just no support and no help. Now, at the end of Kalsarp Yoga, boom, it all comes flooding in. You probably get 1 million offers. So this can be a really exciting time after the 21st of July when things start to gel and the momentum comes back to the ninth house. You start to feel progress and energization in that realm of life. You can start traveling, you can start studying, you can start getting some higher learning. Your belief systems have changed and up-leveled to a new vibration. All this good stuff coming for Cancer, rising, sun or moon people. Moving along to Gemini. Gemini rising, sun or moon people. Well, the energy of Kalsarp Yoga is finally being dispelled since it's been in play since April, but it's expressing for Gemini people through the 10th house. And so this is one of all the visible planets during the last few months since April have been in the hemisphere of free will. So Gemini have actually had more chance than most people to steer life where they wanted it to go for the last 3 months. Everybody else has probably mostly felt like they've, been pushing the proverbial uphill. Difficulties, struggles in trying to get any traction in life, any momentum to move forward, and it's just felt like stiflingly stuck. Gemini hasn't felt that to quite the same degree because everything's been in the hemisphere of free will. That said, beautiful Gemini friends, you're going to really notice the difference after the 21st of July because all of a sudden your efforts to create momentum in your life and progress and forward traction in your life in whatever realm, suddenly, boom, it's like a volcanic explosion. They're just going to go because you've been stoically trying to make the wheels turn and probably getting somewhere to some degree. But my God, once this energy is dissolved of the Kalsarp Yoga, poof, away you go. All that hard work to move forward comes home to roost in the best possible way. Also, Gemini, it is a very important time to honor your father and honor your mother. This is the axis, the north and south node are on the axis of parenting. If you've honored your mother and father over the last 3 months, it will have helped the challenges of the Kalsarp Yoga to be sort of remediated somewhat. But now that after the 21st of July, it's really important to connect with your parents. You're going to have valuable interactions that feel worthwhile. You might have spent time with your parents during Kalsarp Yoga and you're just like, why do I bother? Every time I get around, they're always criticizing me, or I'd feel like I'm no good when I go and hang out with my parents, or, it's just a negative energy. Lo and behold, along comes the end of the Kalsarp Yoga, and the experiences you have with your parents feel much better, much more uplifting. Now, they can sometimes, because 10th house is our professional life, there might have been a bit of a disparity between professional and family life, an imbalance, a disharmony because of Kalsarp Yoga. There might have been an excessive influence or interference from family members that might have made your life miserable. There might have been difficulties from bosses, restricting you, making you work harder than you otherwise would have wanted to during this time. So these kinds of energies of, authority and family, public life and family life would have been at some sort of hard impasse or imbalance, like a seesaw. Now, after the 21st of July, it's all going to come back into well-balanced, work-life balance, as they say. So really good. So it's time for making steps in your career after the 21st of July. You're going to see them actually succeed or gain traction. It's time for really improving your family interactions with your parents and with your children over the next couple of weeks after the 21st of July, when this energy just dispels. There's going to be a good relationship available to you with authority figures after the 21st of July. Respect from authority figures or support from authority figures, whatever that looks like in your particular life circumstances. So this is lovely energy that's coming to us that's going to end this period of feeling stuck in the mud. Thank you, Gemini. All right, Taurus rising, Taurus sun, and Taurus moon people. Well, there's a lot to look forward to, Taurus. We all have the end of the Kalsarp Yoga on the 21st of July this week, but it is expressing for you through Pisces, the 11th house, one of the very interesting houses of the horoscope. So over the last couple of months since we entered into Kalsarp Yoga, you might have had some difficulty with memory, remembering things, remembering people's names when you meet them, or remembering interactions that you've had. There's a sort of a more vague energy with the Kalsarp Yoga that comes when it's expressing through the 11th house. Absent-minded energy, distracted energy. And so that would have been difficult if you had exams that you were undertaking. I have a daughter who was doing, year 12 exams during this time. Certainly can indicate that might have been difficult for her. Difficulty memorizing things might have been an issue. And so, as I said in my video on the Kalsarp Yoga back in April, it was a really good idea to support yourself with whatever mechanisms would help you at that time. Getting plenty of rest, getting plenty of relaxation, and not taking any difficulties too much to heart, just recognizing that it's simply energy and it would pass. One of the requirements of the Kalsarp Yoga as well is to persevere and to be stoic and to keep on trying, even though your test results mightn't be that good, even though you might have some struggles with friends during the Kalsarp Yoga. And if you've done that, then the rewards come back. The rewards come back now after the 21st of July. Any exams you undertake from now on, you can do so much better in. Any friendship interactions are going to feel more fulfilling and more bonding now. Lovely, lovely energy now that it's over. This is another one of those combinations for difficult domestic challenges, but this one particularly with property growth, property accumulation, and property wealth. This is the Vedic system that we're using here. So now that we're reaching the 21st of July, when this Kalsarp Yoga ends, you have got more momentum available to you to grow the value of your properties, to perhaps invest in new properties, and to increase your property-based wealth. That said, I would also suggest that it's probably a very good idea, Taurus, to invest in sort of properties near water with this energy. This is another energy that can indicate that children in your life might have struggled over the last 3 months because of Kalsarp Yoga, because it's the axis that, 5th house is where the south node is, north node is in the 11th house. So if your children have struggled, if your children have really battled, Taurus, then this is a time when you can sort of reward them. Maybe they've had difficulty with friends at school, or maybe they've, had some issues with a job that they're in or something. Well, be there for them. If you're a parent of a child now that's had a bit of a struggle during Kalsarp Yoga, put them at the forefront of your mind. After the 21st of July, make sure that they feel loved and treasured and honored in some way, because that energy will be really, really appreciated by them. Now, I just want to say, after the 21st of July, it's a good time to purchase property. It's a good time for contracts and any significant, as I've already illustrated, any significant interactions with children. It's a good time for doing exams. It's a good time for studies and social interactions, joining groups and being part of large, political movements now. Getting involved in pursuing your dreams and goals and actually chasing after them. Up until the 21st of July, between April and the 21st of July, you might have felt like everything you're doing to achieve your goals and dreams and the life you want feels like there is a big lead balloon wrapped around you and that's keeping you from doing anything, keeping you from moving ahead. Now that lead balloon disappears. No more. You can actually put effort into creating the life of your dreams and start to see it manifest, start to see momentum there. So exciting times for Taurus people. And lucky last, thank you, my beautiful Aries, rising, sun and moon people. Well, if you're an Aries person, thank you for sticking with me till last. But the cusp yoga that is ending this week on the 21st of July is going to be expressing through your 12th house. All the planets down here, almost all in the southern hemisphere of the chart. Now, this is an indicator that you might have had some physical struggles and mental struggles over the last couple of months since April, actually. Maybe because your body might have been struggling with an illness or a cold or something like that, and it affected your mental buoyancy as well. So that might have been the case for the last couple of months with this cusp yoga. Now that we're on the end of that period, July 21st marks the end of it, and it's all going to dissolve away, you're going to find that your body can heal, and so too can your mental buoyancy. Good news. This is an energy of people doing things in the 12th house. It's an energy of people doing things behind your back, behind closed doors, keeping secrets from you and so on, trying to bring you down. That may have been going on during the cusp yoga. But after the 21st of July, it's all exposed. It's all revealed for what it is. They're shown up if they've been sort of trying to bring you down. It's not necessarily enemies, but it's like people who haven't got your best interest in mind. So things are revealed, things are exposed for Aries people at this time. If you've been wary of gossip since April, if you've not engaged with it, if you haven't allowed yourself to go down that rabbit hole, you're going to get rewarded for your stoicism and endurance and perseverance. Even if people have been gossiping about you all around you, if you've ignored it and carried on business as usual, the rewards come now. Happy to say. The thing is, when you've got the cusp yoga expressing like this through the 12th house, it's a very dissatisfying energy. It feels like no matter what you've done, it doesn't feel like success. Life for Aries people has probably felt more blah, more common, more boring, more disappointing since April. And to quote Anne of Green Gables, you might have struggled with the depths of despair. I hope that's not the case for my beautiful Aries friends, but it can be an expression of this energy. But the good news is it ends on the 21st of July. No more feeling blah, no more feeling like life is a disappointment and life is despairing. Why will it feel like that's not the case anymore? Because something's going to start to go your way. There's going to be sort of an electricity in the air, like, oh, there's momentum, there's spark, there's fire here. Fantastic. Good. Just generally, like, I don't feel so despondent anymore. And that, when the energy shifts within you, the energy of what you're experiencing in the outer realm changes also. So I hope that you had the chance, Aries, to listen to my video on the time serpent back in April, where I talked about the importance of having rest and relaxation, time out to do your creative work, creative endeavors, music, poetry, whatever it might be, and time to just maintain your health. Excuse me. If you took time out to do those things and you invested in yourself and your sense of who you are, if you invested in having a good rest, taking a holiday, if you got sick, not plodding through it, but taking a couple of days off work to just recover, resting is so important. If you have been able to do those sorts of things during cusp yoga, then you are rewarded now. Rewarded when the energy shifts. Rewarded with good health, with a wonderful, maybe folio of creativity that you've been able to produce during this time, with wonderful, interactions and memories that you created on a holiday, all the good things, like less stress in your life, less tension in your life, because you invested in you during the cusp yoga, like I would have suggested back in that original video. And now, after the 21st of July, you can actually enjoy periods of rest and relaxation, more creativity freely without feeling like it's a burden to do so. And your body receives the reward for that. You know, you take the weekend to sow some sort of new creation or to write a new poem or something like that, and your spirits soar because of that over the weekend. You go back to work feeling fit as a fiddle, feeling like, yes, I can be me. I can share my creativity with the world. You know, in some schools of astrology, they kind of see the 5th house as the only creative house. Almost every house has a measure of creativity, but the 12th house is incredibly creative. Incredibly. It's actually drawing from past life creativity and pulling it into this incarnation. But also, not only that, it's about the creativity that brings beauty, that brings utopic experience, you know, beautiful, uplifting poetry. I think about The Daffodils by William Wordsworth. That's the kind of energy we see here. If you're familiar with that poem talks about him lying as an invalid on his couch, but feeling uplifted because he's watching the daffodils dance in the breeze. The most beautiful poem. I just love that poem. But that's such a Pisces 12th house poem. Here he is unwell, which I've talked about during cusp yoga, but he's written this poem as he lies there, an invalid on his couch, watching the daffodils in the spring. That's exactly this energy. And now that you are emerging into the non-cusp yoga period of this year, and it doesn't occur every year. It's a very rare configuration, actually. So we've been through the ringer with it, but it's taught us a lot. Now you are emerging out into the sunshine, and you've got your poem all about the daffodils in your hand. You know, you've got what you've done during this cusp yoga period as your reward for what you've gone through and learnt and evolved into. Very exciting. I hope this all makes sense to you, Aries, because I think it's a beautiful expression for you guys and for everybody. Thank you so much for being here for this video. I'm excited to see the end of cusp yoga. I am so sick of being stuck. Bring it on. I am ready for this. And I'll join you next week with another Astro Weather Report.